Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and this is my first impressions look on the Adidas Harden Stepback 2. So this shoe is going for 80 bucks and this is James Harden's budget shoe, right? So James Harden of course has the Harden Volume line and we're currently on the Harden Volume 5, and then the BE line, which is a little bit cheaper, it's usually like 110 bucks. And then we have the Stepback model. Of course, we had the Stepback 1, which came out last year, which was a pretty good performer. It wasn't bad. And then now we have the 2. So yeah, 80 bucks is super duper cheap. And while I'm filming this, it's going for 30% off for some reason, even though this just came out. So there you go. If you guys want to get it for even cheaper, I got it on a Black Friday sale for like 40 or 50% off or something. So I paid like 40 or 50 bucks for this shoe, which is absolutely insane. So if you guys do want to cop, I'll leave a link in the description box. But let's get it started off with the Tracciones. So the pattern looks very similar. It looks a lot like the Harden Volume 5, and I guess like the web traction pattern that the Harden Volume 1, the 2, and then the 4 used. So I guess Harden likes the way this outsole looks. As far as the bite goes, it seems to have a pretty good bite on my wood floors. Not the best, but it seems to be pretty good. As far as the durability goes though, I feel like it's gonna be pretty damn good. The grooves are actually quite thick. The rubber is pretty damn hard, and I feel like it'll last a good amount of time on an outdoor court. So of course I'm gonna be playing mainly outside with this, so I'll definitely be able to test that. We have the 3 stripes logo here in the middle of the shoe. As far as the heel to toe transition goes, it's on the flatter side of things. Here in the heel actually feels very smooth though. It's not edged out or anything. You have actually a very curved shape, which feels great. Here in the forefoot, it's a little bit flat, but it's definitely better than the original Next Levels or like the D-Rose 11 or like the Marquee Boost. It definitely has a little bit more than that. I wish it curved up a little bit more, but this isn't bad. And you have a good amount of forefoot flex. So a heel to toe transition feels pretty damn smooth, surprisingly, Actually, no, not surprisingly, because Hardens are usually pretty good with this. And also the Dames. But then every other Adidas shoe is like somewhat flat for some reason. So I like how it feels here in the Stepback 2. As far as the cushioning setup goes, we have a full length bounce midsole. It's white here in this colorway, and we got some black speckles on it. It looks pretty damn cool, and it's very nice. As you guys know, bounce is great. The cushion feels super low to the ground like all Hardens do, so core feel is incredible. I just can't believe how low to the ground you feel in these shoes, And bounce is a very high density foam, so we'll see on the weight. So that's one reason why I don't like bounce, but that's pretty much the only reason. But for the most part, bounce is great. It's bouncy, hence the name bounce. You got a good amount of compression usually from bounce, but like I said, you're very low to the ground, so obviously the cushion is fairly thin. So there's just a little bit of cushion. It does get thick here in the heel, but then of course it kind of comes up acting like a sidewall or like a cage, caging you in here into the footbed, but there is a little bit of compression here in the heel. The forefoot is pretty much dead. As far as the insole goes, the insole, they're using the Adidas paper stock patented insole. It's not very nice, there's not a lot of padding or anything. And that would make sense if you made like the strobo board soft, in like their Ultra Boost, they make the strobo board like there's like a cutout, so it's super soft and you can feel the boost pretty much right underneath your foot. And I don't know why they don't do that for bounce, or I guess like any of their other shoes besides Ultra Boost. Just make like a netted strobo board, and that would, I would understand you guys using like a thinner type of insole, because if you make a thinner insole, that means they want you to feel the actual midsole. But then how are you going to feel the midsole if you use a very stiff strobo board? And that's what this shoe has. So there's not a whole lot of underfoot cushion. You can't really feel the bounce really at all underneath your foot. We'll see if that changes after I play in it and after I break it in, but I kind of doubt that. But right now, the things I like are the court feel and I guess the little bit of heel compression. All right, as far as the materials go, we have a mesh material and it's actually pretty damn nice. It's not a shit mesh, like Nike gives us. It actually feels pretty damn nice in hand. It's pretty damn thin. It conforms to your foot very well. And I feel like it's pretty supportive. The mesh by itself I don't think would be the most supportive material, But here in the toe box, we have a good amount of fuse in places so that the material doesn't stretch all too much. And then here on the medial and lateral side of the shoe, we got some screen mesh overlays. And then here in the heel, we got a thin external TPU heel counter, which extends kind of like all the way here into the midfoot. And you have a Harden logo here in the back. The tongue is pretty much a half booty construction. I mean, it's kind of weird because the tongue is connected to this mesh material. So this is all just one piece, but then the tongue isn't connected to like this heel part. So obviously it's not really a one booty upper, but then like I said, it's a half booty construction. So it gives you an overall better fit here in the forefoot and in the midfoot because this is all just one piece. Also, another little touch that I like about this shoe is that the Adidas logo here on the lateral side is 3M. So that actually looks really dope. And just this like overall colorway looks great. It's kind of like a suit and tie or an Oreo colorway. And then of course we got the cream outsole. The tongue, there's a minimal amount of padding, not a lot. And then here in the ankle area, you actually have a decent amount of padding on the sides and also here in the back of the heel. But then I don't really like how it fits my heel. It definitely reminds me of the Harden Volume 2 a lot, you know? So as you guys know, the Harden Volume 2, the ankle part kind of like went all the way here down into the heel, and it didn't really lock your heel down that much. And this shoe feels very, very similar to that. So if you look at the anatomy of the foot, like in the heel part, we got the heel, which is kind of like a ball, right? And then we have the Achilles tendon, which obviously tapers into a thin Achilles tendon, right? So you want the foam to kind of like be on top of the heel. So if you have foam here, you know, kind of surrounding the Achilles area, that'll lock down your heel. But then if you have foam here in the heel and also here in the Achilles, it kind of doesn't lock down the heel very well. So yeah, the heel lockdown is pretty bad. There's a good amount of heel slippage. I mean, once I tighten the laces down, it does fix it a little bit, but you know, obviously I'm gonna need to play in it and we'll see how it goes. But as of right now, I'm not liking that all too much. Like for example, in the Zoom Freak 2, it's very apparent, you know, the foam is pretty much all on top of the heel area. And then there's no foam like where the heel is. So that provides a very good lockdown for the heel. But then if you look at the Stepback 2, the padding pretty much stays the same. So I'm not a huge fan of that, and like I said, it feels very similar to the Harden Volume 2. Moving on to the fit, I went true to my Adidas size and it fits me pretty well. There is just a little bit of length, but I probably wouldn't go down half a size because it's just a little bit, you know? It's not to the point where a full half size down would make it better. It would actually probably make it a little too tight for me. So I feel like true to size is good for me. Width-wise, it's pretty damn narrow, so just watch out if you're a wide footer. But I feel like this material might stretch out a little bit over time. And this shoe is very easy to put on. You know, the tongue opens up a lot. You have a nice heel tab as well. You just put it on like a slipper, tie up the laces, and you're good to go. As far as the support and lockdown goes, like I said, heel lockdown feels pretty terrible. But lateral containment, I feel like it's going to be good. Like the Adidas logo, that's kind of like acting like a cage. We got all of this fuse, you know, so that's good. And the foam does come up. I mean, the foam pretty much stays level with your foot besides here in the heel, and you have an external TPU heel counter. So we'll see on the forefoot, but I feel like it'll be good. And of course, there's not really an outrigger, but the midsole and outsole do protrude out a good amount. So 13.26 ounces. Wow, that's kind of crazy because this shoe feels so minimal here in like the upper. You know, there's not a whole lot of padding basically through like this entire half. The only padding that there is in the shoe is here in the ankle area, and that's pretty much it. So obviously most of the weight is coming from the outsole and the midsole, and like I said, Bounce is a pretty high density foam. So 13.5 ounces is not super duper heavy, but it's heavier than average, and this shoe definitely does feel bottom heavy. But for the most part, I don't think weight is going to be a huge deal for me in this shoe. Moving on to the aesthetics, I like it. This definitely is one of my favorite shoes as far as like Harden's budget line goes, you know? A lot of his budget shoes are kind of like not that great. I guess the BE2s were pretty good looking. The BE1 was kind of weird. The Stepback 1 was kind of weird. The BE3, I believe it was, with like the weird strap and stuff. Oh, that one was terrible. So this is definitely up there, and I definitely do like how it takes inspiration from the Harden Volume 5. I don't think any of the other shoes did that, I guess, besides the BE1 and the Harden Volume 1, which they were pretty much the exact same. And also this colorway, like I said, looks awesome. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up for 80 bucks and maybe even cheaper, I feel like this shoe might be a banger. It's a great looking shoe. Bounce cushion is always reliable. Upper feels pretty damn minimal. There's really no problems with me right now besides, I guess, the heel slippage. But of course, I'm gonna need to test that out. So my first impressions of the shoe are looking good. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll leave a link in the description box. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.